Imagine standing in the center of the vast, red silence of the Egyptian desert at the precise moment when the sun begins to bleed into the horizon, turning the Nile into a ribbon of molten copper and the sand into an ocean of shifting shadows. The air is still, heavy with the memory of 10,000 years, and the sky above is a bruising purple, poised between the death of the day and the birth of the night. In this twilight realm, where the veil between the worlds is thinnest, you see something rising from the heat haze, a creature of impossible magnitude, a towering avian silhouette that does not cast a shadow, but instead radiates a faint, golden luminescence. It is the Bennu, the primordial bird of fire, the soul of Ra, the architect of time itself. Its feathers are not merely plumage. They are tongues of solidified flame, shimmering with the colors of lapis lazuli and burning amber. It stands atop the Benben stone, the first mound of creation that rose from the chaotic waters of Non, and it looks at you with eyes that hold the cold, terrifying clarity of the stars. You are afraid, for instinct tells you that this creature is dangerous. It is not a pet. It is a principle. It is the living embodiment of the most difficult truth in the universe. That creation is an act of violence, that nothing new can be born until something old has turned to ash. A voice, ancient and resonant, vibrating not in your ears but in the marrow of your bones, whispers the law of the final flame. Everything you want lives on the other side of a fire you keep refusing to walk through. This is the lesson of the Bennu, the Egyptian phoenix, a teaching that has been obscured by centuries of simplified mythology but remains the singular key to human transformation. We live in a culture that is obsessed with the concept of rebirth. We want the new body, the new career, the new love, the new life. But we are terrified of the mechanism that makes rebirth possible. We want the resurrection without the crucifixion. We want the gold without the furnace. We want the sunrise without the long, cold terror of the night. But Bennu teaches that rebirth is not a metaphor for improvement. It is a ritual of destruction. It is not about adding a new layer of paint to a crumbling house. It is about burning the house to the ground so that a palace may be built on the foundation. The final flame is the esoteric concept of the deliberate, conscious incineration of the self. It is the understanding that you cannot evolve by negotiation. You cannot bargain with your past. You cannot politely ask your trauma to leave. You must burn it. The fire is the only element that does not contaminate. It only purifies. Water can be muddied, earth can be poisoned, air can be polluted, but fire remains eternally pure because it destroys everything that is not itself. To invoke the Bennu is to invite this purification into your life, to stand before the accumulated debris of your identity, the fears, the limitations, the smallness, the comfortable miseries, and to strike the match. Who is this entity that demands such a price? In the complex theology of ancient Egypt, the Bennu bird was far more than a mythical animal. It was the Ba, or the soul, of the sun god Ra and the very spark of Atum, the creator. It was the first movement in the stillness of the void, the first cry that shattered the silence of non-existence and initiated the cycles of time. While the Greek phoenix is often depicted as a tragic creature caught in an endless, involuntary loop of dying and rising, the Egyptian Bennu is a creature of supreme agency. It does not die because it is sick. It burns because it is ready. It governs the cycles of Kapir, or becoming. It represents the cosmic force of evolution that knows when a form has exhausted its potential. When the Bennu senses that the current cycle has become heavy, stagnant, or repetitive, it does not cling to life out of fear of death. It flies to the holy city of Heliopolis, the city of the sun, and constructs a nest not of twigs and mud, but of aromatic spices, cinnamon, myrrh, and frankincense, materials that represent the preservation of wisdom and the sweetness of the spirit. There, in the sanctuary of the high temple, it deliberately ignites its own nest. It chooses the fire. It creates the final flame. This is the crucial distinction. The Bennu is not a victim of the fire. It is the master of it. It understands that the fire is not an end, but a doorway. From the ashes of the old form, a new Bennu rises, not a baby, but the same soul in a higher, more potent, more radiant vessel, carrying the wisdom of the previous cycle but unburdened by its limitations. The myth is a blueprint for the human soul, encoded with the secrets of psychological alchemy. The question echoes through the chambers of history. Why do humans fear their own rebirth? Why do we cling to relationships that drain us, jobs that demean us, and identities that suffocate us? The answer lies in the illusion of safety. The ego, which is the construct of who we think we are, is terrified of the void. To the ego, the unknown is synonymous with death. It would rather stay in a familiar hell than step into an unfamiliar heaven. We negotiate with our misery because we know its dimensions. We know how to navigate the dark room of our depression, our anxiety, our mediocrity. We have decorated the walls of our prison. The final flame threatens this arrangement. It demands that we let go of the very things we use to define ourselves. We say, "I am a victim of this tragedy," or "I am the dutiful daughter," or "I am the one who always struggles." These are not truths, they are roles. They are costumes that have fused to our skin. To burn them feels like burning our own flesh. But Bennu laughs at this fear with the compassion of a god who knows that the costume is suffocating the actor. The teaching is merciless but liberating. You cannot become who you are while holding on to who you were. You cannot enter the new timeline while dragging the luggage of the old one. The final flame is the moment you stop negotiating. It is the moment you realize that the pain of staying the same has finally outweighed the fear of changing. It is the moment you decide that you are worth the risk of destruction. To undergo this transformation, one must understand what exactly needs to be burned. The priests of the Sun Temple identified 7 specific layers of the false self, 7 fetters that bind the soul to the lower cycles of existence. These are the fuel for the final flame. The first thing you must burn is the old roles. These are the identities assigned to you by your family, your society, or your past self. Perhaps you were the peacekeeper in a chaotic home, learning to shrink yourself to avoid conflict. Perhaps you were the scapegoat, or the golden child, or the failure. These roles served a purpose once. They helped you survive a specific environment. But now, in the open air of your adult life, they are heavy armor that prevents you from moving. You are walking around in a suit of iron that was made for a war that ended 20 years ago. The Bennu demands that you place this armor on the pyre. You must realize that you are not your function. You are not what you do for others. You are not the role you play in someone else's play. The second element to burn is emotional debts. This is the invisible ledger of guilt, resentment, and unspoken apologies that you carry in your chest. Every time you think, "I should have done that," or "they shouldn't have done this to me," you are paying interest on a debt that can never be settled. Resentment is drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Guilt is a prison cell where you are both the prisoner and the warden. These emotions tie you to the past with unbreakable chains. The final flame requires you to declare bankruptcy on these debts. You must burn the ledger. You must realize that you cannot change what happened. You can only change what you do with the energy of what happened. To burn emotional debt is to say, it is finished. It is to release the need for an apology that will never come. It is to forgive yourself for not knowing then what you know now. The third sacrifice to the fire is silent agreements. These are the insidious contracts you have signed with your silence. The times you smiled when you wanted to scream. The times you said yes when your soul shouted no. The times you allowed someone to disrespect you because you were afraid of losing their affection. These agreements are betrayals of the self. They fragment your energy. Every time you honor a silent agreement, you dim your own light. The Bennu demands that you find these contracts and incinerate them. It demands that you reclaim your voice. It means accepting that when you break these agreements, you might disappoint people. You might lose relationships that were based on your compliance. But the fire teaches that a relationship sustained by your silence is not a relationship. It is a hostage situation. Fourth, you must burn the broken narratives. These are the stories you tell yourself about what is possible for you. I am not creative. I am not lucky. Love always leaves me. I am too old to start over. These narratives are not descriptions of reality. They are spells you have cast upon yourself. They are self-fulfilling prophecies woven from the thread of past failures. The brain is a storytelling machine, and it loves to repeat the tragedies because they feel significant. But the Bennu is the breaker of cycles. To burn the narrative is to interrupt the story mid-sentence. It is to look at the script of your life and tear it up. It is to admit that you do not know what is possible, and in that not knowing, everything becomes possible. The fire consumes the words, I can't, and leaves only the silence of, I am. Fifth, and perhaps most painful, is the burning of energetic parasites. These are the people, the habits, and the environments that drain your life force. We often keep these parasites around because we mistake attachment for love or history for loyalty. We say, but I've known them forever, even though every interaction leaves us exhausted. We cling to habits that numb us because we are afraid of feeling the intensity of our own lives. The Bennu is a creature of solar power. It cannot tolerate the draining of its light. The final flame demands a quarantine of the soul. It asks you to look at your circle and ask, who is feeding the fire and who is dousing it? It requires the courage to walk away from the table where respect is no longer being served. It is the understanding that you cannot lift someone else up if they are standing on your neck. Sixth is the burning of cycles of self-sabotage. This is the most cunning adversary because it lives inside the walls. Self-sabotage is the ego's way of controlling the outcome. If I destroy it myself, at least I won't be surprised when it fails. It is the procrastination that hits when you are close to a breakthrough. It is the sudden illness that appears on the day of the interview. It is the fight you pick with your partner when the intimacy gets too deep. This is the comfortable prison. We sabotage our success because success is unfamiliar, and the unfamiliar is dangerous. The Bennu teaches that you must burn the fear of happiness. You must burn the addiction to struggle. You must allow yourself to expand without contracting in panic. And finally, the seventh and deepest burn is the fear of your own power. This is the ultimate truth that the Bennu protects. As the modern mystic Marianne Williamson wrote, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. We are terrified of our own light. We are terrified of what would happen if we actually stepped into our full potential. If we really committed, if we really spoke our truth, If we really unleashed our creativity, we would become unrecognizable to our current tribe. We would become giants, and giants are often lonely. So we play small, we dim the glare, we apologize for our excellence. The final flame demands that you burn the apology. It demands that you stand in the center of the sun and refuse to look away. It is the acceptance of your divinity, the acknowledgement that you are a vessel of the same force that moves the stars, and that to play small is a sin against creation itself. The psychology of this burning is rooted in the way the human mind processes transition. We are ritualistic creatures. The brain struggles to understand abstract concepts like change or moving on without a physical anchor. We need a line in the sand. We need an event. Fire is the oldest and most potent symbol of transformation because it is irreversible. You cannot unburn a letter. You cannot unburn a bridge. When we witness the physical destruction of an object representing a psychological burden, something shifts in the subconscious. The fire acts as a punctuation mark in the sentence of our lives. It signals to the limbic system, the emotional core of the brain, that the danger is past, that the cycle is complete. In spiritual alchemy, fire is the element of willpower and transmutation. It turns matter into energy. It takes the heavy, leaden weight of trauma and converts it into the light and heat of wisdom. The Bennu does not just destroy, it metabolizes. It eats the past and turns it into fuel for the flight. But the myth of the Bennu contains a coded warning. The window for rebirth is not always open. The bird burns only when the cycle is full. This brings us to the 24-hour rebirth rule. There is a specific momentum to the soul. When you feel the call to change, that restless, aching feeling in your chest, that sudden clarity that this cannot continue, you have entered a sacred window of time. The ancients believed that the portal of the Bennu opens for a short duration. If you hesitate, if you say, "I will do it next month," or "I will wait until I feel more ready," the energy dissipates. The fire goes out. The ego rebuilds its defenses, and the walls of the prison become twice as thick. The rule is simple. When you see the flame, you must walk into it. The rebirth. Commitment demands that within the next 24 hours of receiving the call, you must perform the ritual. You must take action while the iron is hot. You must strike while the will is surging. Delay is the assassin of transformation. The Bennu waits for no one. How does one perform this ritual in the modern world? You do not need a temple of gold. You need the temple of your intention. The final flame ceremony is a safe yet profoundly intense psychological operation. You begin with preparation. Find a metal bowl or a fire-safe container. Gather paper and a pen. Light a single candle. This represents the eternal spark of the Bennu, the witness to your transformation. Find a space of absolute quiet where you will not be disturbed, for you are about to perform surgery on your own soul. The first step is to invoke the fire. Light the candle and stare into the flame. Visualize the great golden bird standing behind you, its wings spread, encompassing the room. Say the words aloud, for the voice commands the ether. What no longer serves me burns. This is not a request, it is a command. Step 2 is to identify the 7 things. Take your strips of paper. On each strip, write down one specific thing from the 7 categories that you are releasing. Do not overthink this. Do not try to be poetic. Let the instinct guide the pen. Write down the name of the toxic ex-lover. Write down the specific guilt you feel about your father. Write down the sentence, "I am not good enough." Write down the job that is killing your spirit. Get the poison out of your system and onto the paper. The ink is the blood of the trauma. The paper is its body. Step 3 is the burning. This must be done slowly. Do not rush. Pick up the first slip of paper. Read it one last time. Acknowledge its presence in your life. Thank it for whatever lesson it tried to teach you, for even demons are teachers in disguise. Then hold it to the candle flame. Watch it catch. Watch the paper curl and blacken. Watch the words disappear into smoke. As it burns, whisper the command, "I release you." Drop it into the bowl and watch it turn to ash. Repeat this for all 7 slips. Feel the heat on your face. Smell the smoke. Let the sensory experience imprint the reality of the release onto your brain. Step 4 is the Bennu pause. When the last paper is gone and the bowl contains only ash, do not move. Sit in the silence. Watch the smoke clear. You may feel a sudden wave of emotion, tears, shaking, or a heavy fatigue. This is the healing crisis. It is the spirit recalibrating. It is the vacuum created by the removal of the blockage. Do not fill it with distraction. Sit in the void. Let the silence scour you. Step 5 is the rebirth declaration. When the wave has passed, look at the candle, the flame that is still burning, the flame that survived the destruction. This is you. Speak the words of power. From these ashes, I rise. Feel the truth of it. You are not the ash. You are the bird that rises from it. Step 6 is the 24-hour action. The ritual is not complete until it is grounded in the physical world. Within 1 day of the burning, you must take one irreversible step aligned with your new identity. If you burned a toxic relationship, block their number. If you burned a dead career, send the resignation letter or register the domain name for your new business. If you burn the fear of health, throw away the junk food. It must be a physical action that seals the deal. It tells the universe, I am not bluffing. Step 7 is to seal the flame. Take the ashes outside. Do not keep them in your house. The energy of the dead past has no place in the temple of the living. Scatter them to the wind or bury them in the earth. Wash the bowl. Extinguish the candle. The work is done. You have stepped through the fire. The aftermath of this ritual is rarely a sudden burst of manic joy. Real rebirth often feels like the quiet after a storm. You may feel an emotional exhaustion, a deep, hollow tiredness. This is normal. Your system has just processed a massive amount of energetic data. But underneath the fatigue, you will notice something new, a quiet clarity. The noise in your head has dialed down. The old triggers don't seem to hook you as deeply. You have lost interest in the drama that used to consume you. You look at your old habits and they feel like toys from a childhood you have outgrown. This is the first sign of real transformation. A new internal voice begins to emerge. Not the frantic, chattering voice of fear, but the deep, resonant, knowing voice of the Bennu. It speaks in commands, not questions. It knows the way. On the metaphysical layer, we must understand the Bennu's cosmic rebirth code. The ancients taught that time is not linear. It is cyclical. But we have the power to jump the tracks. We can shift timelines. When you choose to burn, you are effectively altering your vibration. You are removing the dense, low-frequency patterns that kept you tethered to a specific version of reality. By burning the old maps, you become invisible to the old demons. They look for the victim, but the victim is gone. Only the warrior remains. You are aligning yourself with a higher trajectory of destiny. You are upgrading the software of your soul. The final flame is the mechanism by which human beings participate in their own evolution. We are the only creatures who can choose to die before we die, so that we can truly live. Let the final vision fill your mind's eye. You are back in the temple of the sun. The walls are made of gold and light. The air vibrates with the hum of the universe. In the center of the vast chamber, the Bennu Bird lands before you. It is massive, radiant, timeless. Its feathers glow with the heat of 1,000 suns, pulsing with a living, golden fire. It lowers its great head and looks at you with eyes that have seen the birth of galaxies. It does not speak in words, but the message thunders in your heart. You know what must burn. It waits. It knows what you are holding in your hand, the 7 slips of paper, the heavy baggage, the old self. It spreads its wings, and a gust of hot wind rushes over you, smelling of cinnamon and smoke. Fire erupts across the chamber, swirling, dancing, inviting. The final flame ignites, a wall of beautiful, terrifying destruction. The choice is yours. You can turn back to the cold desert of the known, or you can step forward into the inferno of your own becoming. The bird cries out, a sound of triumph and shattering glass. You take a breath. You step forward. The fire consumes you, and for a moment there is only white heat. And then the silence breaks. The smoke clears, and rising from the center of the burn, silhouette distinct against the golden light, is not who you were. It is who you were always meant to be. The ash falls away. You rise. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."